Hey angels, how are we all doing today? Welcome to the channel of Angel Guidance with myself, the Spirit of Jade, and on today's episode 7, we are talking about divine timing. Every time that I've considered doing this video, I've been sat with myself wondering, am I getting too caught up in when the timing's right to film this? Am I just contemplating too much? Am I procrastinating too much? Am I trying to do so much preparation that I don't actually throw myself in and take that leap to make the next video? And then I thought to myself, in reality, the divine timing has been at play because I've had so many other things that I've been committing to and working around that I don't think I would have been able to show up as openly and expressively as I needed to if I had tried to cram it in, if I had tried to force something that wasn't ready to grow. So yes, today we are going to be talking about divine timing, and I thought it was relevant to mention that just because every time I think about divine timing, I think, how is it that it's shown up in my life beforehand? How is it that I've tried to force something to grow when it wasn't ready, when in reality I planted a seed and I just had to wait. I had to be patient, I had to be consistent. But sometimes consistency isn't always action. Sometimes consistency is just having the belief, having the faith that something is going to grow and something is going to flourish, but within its own time. When I think about divine timing, I always try and tell myself to try and be soft within the space where we are, to not be so caught up in what it is that could be, what it is that we're being faced with in this current moment, because everything is temporary. Timing is something that we have no control over. And every time that I sit and reflect on that, I try and remember that before you know it, this point in time is going to be over. And that's kind of what pushes me through sometimes, and maybe not the best of ways to think of something, because I think trying to be as present as you can be is important, but in some situations we don't actually want to be there. So we're trying to rush ahead and we're trying to think, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. But then when you look at the other side of the spectrum and you think, well, the other side of the coin, let's say, you're thinking, I really want this, I really want this to happen. But it's about accepting you are where you are and having trust that you are moving in the direction you're supposed to will carry you through that. I think I don't want to come across as someone who just has this complete belief in, things fall into place and everything will happen as it's supposed to, because I do believe that you have an active part to move through that. You have a responsibility to actually push through and be conscious about where it is you're moving. It's not something that just aligns in place. And although sometimes I do believe that can be a gift, sometimes it's a gift for us to really move through something, to trot through the mud and really see how capable we are. On the other hand, sometimes we are gifted things, some things land in our laps and some things are just given to us as a gift. And that's something to be cherished, the fact that you've been offered something and provided for in a way that, is beneficial to you. One thing I always tell myself when I'm moving through certain situations, I think, what can I learn from this particular scenario? Sometimes I'm usually scoping out observationally about things that are little signs or little things that make me think, or people's facial expressions, or what emotions arise to the surface for me. And I always think to myself, what is it that I'm being shown? Because I think everything is not a show, but a representation of what it is that you can reflect on. What does a certain situation, what does a plant bring to you? What does a certain colour make you feel? What does a certain sound ignite within you? And really giving that the space for it to be felt and experienced is one of the things that I think makes me feel alive. It reminds me that I have this awareness that shouldn't be diminished. And I actually sat with myself yesterday. It came to mind that, that depth that we feel and the emotions that can feel so heavy at times is actually a blessing. A critical component that I want to mention when actually working with divine timing, which we are doing all the time if we're surrendering and believing that things are happening as they're supposed to, in the set order that is whatever being is aligning for us, is that you can't let comparison get in the way. You can't let complacency get in the way. It's about believing that you are in your own lane and staying on course with that path ahead. Don't be looking left, right. Stay centre, stay aware of what it is that you're moving towards, and believing that you are being led, as I speak about in nearly every video, which is, you know, the main prerogative of this channel, Angel Guidance, is that I truly believe that centre, that alignment, that guidance is always there because you are worthy of guidance. And I think that's something as well that we don't give ourselves enough credit for. We don't allow ourselves to be or feel worthy, and when that alignment does come along, we give it a different name. We give it coincidence, when I don't believe in coincidence. 111 on there. It is alignment. I don't believe in luck. I believe in being chosen, being gifted, being presented with something that your angels, your guides, God, spirit team, higher self, ancestors, whatever name you want to give source, whatever you believe leads you through the way, is that you have been chosen, you have been gifted this because you are worthy. So when you're thinking about divine timing and worthiness, you've got to think, what is it that I'm doing that's holding myself back? Because a lot of the time with divine timing, things aren't falling into place because you're not actually ready. And you keep telling yourself, you know, I'm ready, or I've done everything else that's on my checklist. And sometimes it's that you're actually wearing some tinted glasses, or you're actually wanting or striving towards something that is in alignment, and that's another reason why it hasn't come into place. Just please remember that these are my opinions, these are the beliefs that I hold. They're the experiences or the ways of being that have helped me understand my own story and my own path so far. So don't take them as, you know, vouched for and set in stone. However, I do believe they hold core values, and when you have this awareness, it gives you more freedom to live. You know, you're not holding yourself to these standards that are put onto us. And this is one of the key things that actually got me to this point in life. I was never one to have high standards put on me, but I never felt adequate enough to really show up, to really believe that I was worthy, and self-esteem has always been a big issue for me. Not over the past few years. Sometimes it still stumbles in. However, you know, it's something that when you persistently move towards and you build up confidence and self-love and self-belief and realising your worth, you can start to see where certain situations, certain people, certain scenarios, certain ways of thinking, that inner critic that was so analytical and critical, and, you know, as much as it was coming from a space of protection, it was actually limiting you. So just believing that you are worthy will carry you through life and give you so much more opportunity to really strive to where it is you want to go. So coming back into this awareness of divine timing, I don't want you to hold yourself to a fixed stature of, when I get this done, I'll feel like this. When I get this done, I can move on to the next thing. You know, starting now is the best prerogative to move forward. Really stepping into that person now is how you make it. And I always think about that saying, fake it till you make it. I don't actually think it's fake it till you make it. I think it's embody it to become it. And that's through gradual experience, that's through gradual practice and embodying and, you know, really living that space that you want to lead from, is how you move forward, is how that becomes your whole personality, and how it really comes to life, how you come to life in the new embodiment that you're moving towards. Prime example, this channel that I do, I've had this channel on my mind for so many years now, and I hadn't actually really stepped my foot forward, because I didn't believe too much. I kind of didn't challenge the narrative enough, in believing that I was capable, but in reality I am, and it's about speaking that into existence and putting the actions in place. That brings us to the end of the video. I would like to say what episode 8 is bringing to the table. However, I'm a little unsure, so it will be a surprise for all of us at this point. But thank you so much for listening. If you did like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe if you feel like doing that. Any comments about any insights you gained or any perspectives or beliefs that you have would be really interesting to hear. And thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching. Again, lots of love, angel guidance.